Hi everyone, today I'm going to show you the next step. It's really almost the first step in starting on your semester project. The two things that I've done before were show you how to do the bonus problem set, which included showing you how to open up one of these QMD files and then how to render that into an HTML file that you can show people. And the other thing I did before that was to create this demonstration semester project in GitHub and then bring it into RStudio from GitHub. And so there are videos that show you how to do that. If you haven't done those two things, do them first. So the next thing I want to do is actually get my data. So you're probably going to end up getting it from a website. If you use one of these three demonstration mini data sets that I put on Canvas, you'll get them from Canvas. And you'll get them by just downloading them. The normal thing that you would do to download anything else, you're going to download them to somewhere on your computer. And once they're downloaded to your computer, wherever you put them, you're going to, that's going to be good. It's going to be on your computer. Hopefully, you're going to download it straight to your project directory or folder. But if you don't, if it goes to your download folder, that's fine. You have to go get it and bring it in here. And that's what I have to do. The data is actually already on my computer in another folder, so I'm going to go get it. And I have it fairly organized so I can find it quickly. If you have more trouble finding the file, well, that may slow you down a little, but the principle is still the same. You go out to wherever it is on your computer. In my case, I know that I actually created it in that class, in our class project. I created the data for projects for a demonstration and then the ones I put on Canvas. And so this is the demonstration data. Please do not use it yourself because the whole point is for you to use at least slightly different data than what I'm demonstrating to at least change variable names, if nothing else. So anyway, in order to copy it, I'm going to use the Control-C keyboard command, which you can't see me doing, but I just highlighted the data and hit Control on the keyboard, hold it down, and then hit C. That copies it. So now I'm going to come back out to RStudio projects. This is just, it's going to be different on your computer, but this is where I have all my RStudio projects. And the demonstration semester project is the one I want to go to. If you look at all of these file names here and this folder, and then you come back over to RStudio, you're going to see that they look very similar. That's because this is just a picture of this folder. So the next thing I need to do is actually paste that data into this folder, and so I'm hitting Control V on my keyboard. I just hit Control and hold down V. On a Macintosh, you will hold down Command and hit V. So it's slightly different. It's Command instead of Control. But see, that popped up there, and if I come back over to RStudio, it popped up here too. I'm going to add a step that's optional for you, but I want to do it. I'm going to create a data folder or directory for this to go in, and so I just hit New Folder and type Data. And in order to get it there, so you see it popped up, I want to move the demonstration data to it. So I check the check box and then move, and it pops up with this, and there's that data folder. I select it and hit open. That data disappeared from there. It's now there. I'm going to hit the little two dots and come back up so I'm still in my main directory, just so you can see it. Now my next thing I want to do is actually create the file I'm going to work in. And so this is similar to what I did with the bonus problem set demonstration. I come up to the File menu, I select New File, and I'm going to go Quarto Document. Because this is the same thing I did there, I'm going to go through it a little quicker. I'm just going to put in title, I'm going to put Semester Project Demo, and then in the name, I'm going to put my name. I'm going to leave it selected to HTML because I can change that later. That's where I'm going to leave it for now. I want this not checked, so if it's checked, uncheck it. I want it like this because I don't want the visual markdown editor. I want to use the source editor. So leave that unchecked. don't mess with anything else. You want the engine to say knitter, which it should already say. And you hit control, and bam, there's that thing. And it filled in the title and author. Um, this is all instructions from our studio on how to use these Quarto things. I don't want it. You may want to keep it just for reference, but I'm going to get rid of it for now. Um, and then the first thing I want to do is I want to create a, a space to work in, and I'm going to label it as loading my data. And all this is going to actually print out a heading on the document. And the heading, it's a heading because I put two hashtags and a space, which means it's a second level heading, and then loading my data. So it'll print loading my data in bold, sort of big bold type. And then under it, I'm going to put this is where I load my data and look at the first 6 lines, because those are the things that we're going to do today. And all that's going to happen is that's going to print out as typed text. So now I need a code chunk to actually do some R coding, and that's what it's called. It's a code chunk. It just means it's a place where I put code. They called it chunk. That doesn't really, it's actually a fairly new term, so don't get excited about it. It's just where you put the code. And in order to create the code chunk on a Windows computer, I'm going to press Control, Alt, I, which means I press Control, keep holding it down, press Alt, keep holding it down, and then hit I. On a Mac, you do the same thing, but instead of Control Alt, it's Command Option. And so all the code that I want R to run has to be inside one of these things that's got the 3 apostrophes and R in the squirrely brackets, and then 3 more backwards apostrophes. You can type it yourself. Those are the backwards apostrophes that are to the left of the one on your keyboard. So the first thing I want to do is I'm loading that here library that I told you about in the Intro to R session. If you don't use the data directory, if you leave your data out here, you don't have to do that part. But that's the best way to do it for the purposes of this workflow that we're using. So I'm doing that. The next thing I want to do is I want to create an object that's going to hold my data, and I'm going to give it the really creative name, my data. So I create the object my data by typing my data. I'm going to assign what goes into it using that assignment operator, the less than sign, and the hyphen. And then I need to actually assign it, and I'm going to use the read CSV function, which is a function from R that reads CSV files. So it's nicely named read CSV. Then I have to use that here function because that's just helping me tell where to find it. And I want it to go to the data directory down here, so I put data in quotation marks inside those parentheses, and then I go and I have to type the name of the file. And the name of the file is demonstration_data.csv. And so demonstration_data.csv. I still want to do one more thing, which is look at those first 6 lines. So I'm going to use that head command that I showed you in class, and head my data. That should show the first 6 lines of the data frame that's going to be created. So I'm going to run, and I'm going to run the current chunk. And if all works properly, yeah, so all did work properly. It loaded it. It created up here in my data 179 observations of 16 variables, and then it brought up the head command brought up the first 6 lines, and it shows all of this. I can go through it using the arrows. The last 2 things I want to show you before we finish. First of all, I need to save this file. It's still just an untitled file, so I want to save it. So I'm going to click. I can do it a couple of ways. I can click the little disk. I can come to the file menu and go save as. I'll do that, and I want to call it my semester project demo. So it's my semester project demo. out here in the main directory, there it is now, my semester project demo .qmd, which just means the .qmd just means it's a Quarto document. Um, it's Quarto Markdown document, which is what the M stands for. So now I want to render it. I want to just make sure everything's going to look nice the way I expect it to when I render it. And so I'm going to click render. And if you're on a Windows computer, it'll come up in the viewer. If you're on a Mac, it may come up in a web browser window. That's fine. But it came up and it has Semester Project Demo, which is the title from up here. And then here's my heading, loading my data. And then this is the typed line. This is where I'm at load my data and look at the first 6 lines. And then this is the code stuff. So here's the actual code. And then here is the result. So this is the result of that head command that looks like this on the screen. It looks like this over here. It has all of those variable names and it gives the first 6 rows. So that's it. At this point, I'm done. I can close down or not close down, but I've done this much. In the next installment, we're going to look at the data a little bit more. We're going to get summary statistics, and then after that we'll go on and get some other statistics that we've already covered in class, but I'll show you the code to actually put them in your project. And within about a week, we will be caught up to where you'll have everything up through the standard deviation already in there, and then we'll start adding some graphs and make this thing look a little bit nicer than just this garbage. Okay, thanks.